the chairman, Senate Committee on the Communications, Mrs. Oluremi Tinubu, the chairman of Senate Committee on ICT and Cybercrime, Senator Yakubu Hussaini, the chairman of Telecommunications Committee, Prince Akim Adeyemi, the chairman of House Committee on the ICT, Honorable Abdullahi Lado, the vice chairman of the 4 committees here present, distinguished senators and the members of the 2 Senate committees here present, honorable members of and members of the 2 committees here present, my colleagues from the ministry, starting with the Permanent Secretary, Mr. Bitrus Bagonabasu, the Director General of National Identity Management Commission, Engineer Abdul Aziz D. Aliyu, Postmaster General of the Federation, Dr. Ismail Adewusi, the representative of the Managing Director of Nigerian Communications Satellite, Professor Bambale, directors from the ministry and the parastatals, other acting directors here present, ladies and gentlemen of the press, good morning to all of you, and may peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you. Firstly, I begin by thanking our Creator, the Almighty, for the opportunity to meet here for the budget defense of the Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy and other parastatals under the ministry. Furthermore, I also want to use the opportunity to thank the 4 committees here, particularly starting with the chairman, the vice chairman, and all the members of the committee for the support they have been extending to us in order to deliver our mandate on behalf of our Nigerians. That support is not being taken for granted. We are most appreciative, and we will continue to appreciate the effort. In addition, we also appreciate the effort of the 4 committees for making the presentation and the defense much easier for us by having a joint defense. This is indeed highly commendable, and it solves usually more than 80% of our problems. If you are being requested to go and defend the budget before 4 different committees, the most serious challenge we used to encounter was, if you go to this committee, they will direct you to do this. If you go to another committee, the directive will be contrary to the first committee. If you go to the 3rd committee, the directives will also not be the same with the first and the second. So the difficulty of harmonizing the directives becomes almost impossible. And each committee feels that our directive must be implemented. But when there is a joint committee, that issue is being resolved, where the discussion, the questions, the directives are all in the same line. It is because of this, on behalf of myself, and most importantly on behalf of my boss, President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, we are most appreciative, and we remain very thankful, and we will continue to appreciate that. And I think this is something that is very commendable by the 2 or the 4 committees. And furthermore, with the permission of the leadership of this joint presentation, I would appreciate if I will be allowed to go through the introductory part briefly, so that from there we move to the 2021 budget. In the course of my presentation, since we are here with the Permanent Secretary, who happens to be the head of the civil servants of the ministry, and I am also here with the directors, I am more of a supervisor. So if any clarification is required, that the attention of any department is requested, I will appreciate if the committee will allow me to invite the relevant director who is in charge of the implementation of that to briefly make clarification where necessary. Because as a minister, our main role in the ministry is about policy formulation and general supervision. But when it comes to implementation, we are not part of the body implementing. We are not even part of the tenders board. So it is because of this, I will be able to invite the relevant directors to come forward and explain the implementation. Thank you very much. Starting with the introductory part, on page 3, this is just a historical background when the ministry was created in 2011 as the then Ministry of Information and Communications. And in 2015, it was redesignated as the Federal Ministry of Communications. And on the 17th to 18th of October 2021, President Muhammad Buhari has approved the redesignation of the ministry into Federal Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy. This is to bring digital economy under the purview of the ministry, and also to direct the ministry to develop the national digital economy policy and strategy for a digital Nigeria. The main responsibility of the ministry is policy formulation to formulate national policies for the implementation of the parastatals and also for the implementation of various departments of the ministry. With all sense of humility, within 2 years, the ministry has developed 16 national policies, and at least a dozen of them been implemented. This development of these policies is unprecedented, because in the history of the ministry, there wasn't any time that even within a 4-year tenure in which 6 national policies were developed. But this within 2, not 4 years, at least 16 national policies had been developed, and a dozen of them been implemented. And to be fair, a significant part of the credit will come to the National Assembly. Without the support of the National Assembly, that achievement will not be recorded in any way. And secondly, another dimension of developing the policy, besides stakeholder engagement and many more, all these policies are in-house. They are being developed within the ministry and the parastatals. We engage the relevant departments and our technical staff. They develop the policy on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria without spending money in the course of development, except in stakeholder engagement or printing of the documents where the need arises. So the most important and the foundation of all the policies is the National Digital Economy Policy and Strategy for a Digital Nigeria 2020-2030. So if we go through the page, I don't need to read all of them, I will only glance. So we will discover that all the policies have been captured on the page 3. Furthermore, on page 4 is just a brief technical explanation of redesignating the ministry, and to also explain the mandate of the ministry in summary. If you look at the mandate of the ministry is communications 1 and 2 digital economy. If we take these 3 keywords, communications addresses the channel of conveying message, the digital message, while the digital addresses the nature of the content passing through the channel, while the economy reflects the central focus of the activity of the ministry. We deploy communications gadgets in which digital content will pass through in order to support the economy of our country. So this is in summary what the 3 keywords are all about. Going to page 5, is in summary the mandate of the ministry. The mandate of the ministry, beginning with the formulation of the national policies for the growth and development of ICT and digital economy sector in the country, in which, as I earlier explained, we have so far developed 16 national policies and a dozen of them been implemented. And number 2, to facilitate universal and cost-effective access to communications infrastructure throughout the country. With the Nigerian National Broadband Plan, we will discover that at least the broadband penetration in the country increased significantly. Within the first 1 year, the broadband penetration increased by more than 10% instead of the annual average increase of 1.7% starting from 2000 to 2019. So this is in summary what the second point is all about, including providing infrastructure in which the parastatals under the supervision of the ministry within 1 year has intervened with infrastructure in a minimum of 1,667 institutions all over the country, and usually educational institutions. And going to number 3, to promote and utilize digital technologies, and number 4, to increase the contribution of ICT to our GDP. Even this one, I think the contribution of ICT to GDP in the second quarter of 2021 is unprecedented in the history of Nigeria, according to the statistics released by the National Bureau of Statistics, that ICT contributed 17.92%. With all sense of humility, in the history of Nigeria, there wasn't any time that ICT contributed up to 17.92% to our GDP. This is also a credit to the National Assembly and also to the executive arm of government for working together to ensure that we continue to promote the contribution of ICT to our GDP. Going through page 6 is also the vision and the mission of the ministry, in which I think I don't need to repeat them, as I explained that I think extensively last year. Our vision is what we target to achieve. That is to create a robust digital economy that enhances security and increases transparency and diversify the economy of our country. And our mission is what we do every day, is we leverage on digital technologies for national economic development. Page number 7 explains briefly the... Okay.
Can you go on to page 16?
Okay.
If not, I'll be the only one reviewing your budget.
Okay, so no problem. So
we
we
are all going to come for oversight.
Okay.
To get you to...
Okay.
You know, we're giving you grace from oversight for a long time. And that's one of the things I had to... the indulgence I crave from all these gentlemen and women that are and ladies that are here. So we are coming for oversight. So just jump to page 16 for us, so that in no time all of us will be out of here.
Okay, thank
because
you.
If you continue to do like that,
okay.
I know there are a lot of things they want to put in. But if we do it straight, that page, and then they take small questions, and then we can go on to 2022.
For the oversight function, we will appreciate the visit. Even if the date will be given to us today.
No,
we will appreciate
it. This publicly.
Okay, we will
because you know what it is.
Yeah, we will not. I know what it is. So, so you are welcome anytime, ma. Thank you. Anytime. Thank you very much. So we move to page 16. That is the 2021 budget expenditure performance. The ministry had an appropriation of 6,197,170,248 naira, out of which the sum of 981,648,837 is for the personnel cost, which means around, most probably, let me say, maybe 20% of the entire budget is for personnel. The sum of 223,791,496 naira is for the overhead cost, while the sum of 4,991,734,915 naira is for the capital expenditure. Based on the budget appropriation for the year 2021, the actual performance of the appropriation is as follows. Going through the personnel cost, this is the first column is just the description of what the line item is all about. Then the The second column is the 2021 appropriation by the National Assembly. Then the third column, released to the ministry by the federal government. The fourth column, the actual expenditure being implemented by the ministry through the office of the permanent secretary here with me. Then the balance not released by the federal government. Then the percentage of the performance. All of them had been explained here in the table in summary in order to provide the clear picture to the National Assembly. So this is in summary the performance. However, if there is need for more clarification, I am here with the technical team to support in providing the clarification. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. While you were speaking
of our committee, Honorable Idem, for raising a very important and fundamental question in which I'm personally happy with it, because it shows that the National Assembly is very much interested in ensuring that the budget is implemented for the benefit of Nigeria and Nigerians. For the delay for the expenditure to be achieved,
but due to some challenges actually that are beyond our ministry. Firstly is the challenge that has to do with the procurement process. Going through the Procurement Act of Nigeria 2009, it is clearly explained that nothing will be awarded without money released. Because I have inherited many cases in which a project was given to some Nigerians, they executed, at the end money not released. So it becomes an issue of litigation, particularly if you don't have budget provision in the subsequent years to make sure that that is being paid. So it is because of this process has started since. But we reach a situation where we cannot complete without the money being released. This money we have captured here, based on the information provided to me by my colleague and elder brother, the permanent secretary, the money was released only on 26 October 2021, which is less than a week today, or roughly 1 week today. And secondly, the approval for the implementation is also pending with the Bureau of Public Procurement. Last week he was there, this week he was also there, and the commitment they have given to him, they are going to give the certificate to go ahead when? Or this week, most probably towards the end of the week. So this is the challenge. So the money here was only released on 26th of October 2021. So, and secondly, after releasing, then you must get the approval. Otherwise, Procurement Act is one of the most challenging acts in Nigeria that any CEO or Chief Accounting Officer must be extra careful in its implementation. So we are waiting for the approval from BPP. When that is secured this week, I assure you, within the time frame, a lot is going to be achieved, and before the end of December, I will be able to smile when I meet you and explain to you that this is what we have implemented. Thank you very much, sir.
And now go to 2022, sir.
Thank you. Once again, the four chairmen of our various committees, the vice chairman, distinguished senators and members of the House Committee, and also our respected senators here present, we move to page 18. That is our proposed budget for 2022 for consideration by the National Assembly. In this place, the summary of the 2022 budget proposals for the ministry, and including some of the parastatals, has been captured here. The personnel cost for the ministry is 1,032,789,793 naira, while the overhead cost is 223,791,496, while the capital budget is 85,231,882,905 naira. However, this amount largely accommodates what we call NICTIP 2, National Information and Communications Technology Infrastructure Backbone 2. Federal government has executed NICTIP 1, if I can recall, around from 2006 up to around 2011. And since then, the process of NICTIP 2 started. So that process was started around 2013 to date. So the bulk amount, which I think is around 80 billion here, is for NICTIP 2, which has nothing to do with the implementation of the ministry. I asked Minister of Finance why including that. She said it is an attempt by the federal government to capture the entire spending, because this one is a loan of the federal government to be implemented by a private company. So it has nothing to do with the ministry implementation directly or with the government, any government parastatal, but it's a direct loan which has been secured by the Minister of Finance and to be implemented by the federal government. Happening to be under ICT, it is mentioned here, but we don't have anything when it comes to implementation, except maybe advising government where necessary or supervision where necessary. But the actual capital to be implemented by the ministry is around 5 billion or 4.6 billion is the actual capital for the ministry. Going to page 19, the overall budget summary for the ministry and some of the parastatals are captured here. For the personnel, I earlier mentioned, and overhead I mentioned, while the capital is also mentioned, including NICTIP 2, in which around 80 something billion is for the loan, while 4.6 is the actual capital to be implemented by the ministry. We have Nigerian Communications Satellite, which has a personnel cost of 2,723,546,721 naira, and they also have their overhead of 63,183,065, and they also have a capital of 5,440,161,987 naira, and the total allocation has been explained in the last column of 8.2 billion. Then coming to NIPOST, in which they have the personnel of 13,116,515,362 naira, in which nothing has been allocated for overhead for NIPOST, and nothing has been allocated for capital. So the entire spending for NIPOST is on the personnel. Then coming to National Identity Management Commission, in which they have 5,833,409,798 naira. This is only for personnel. And they also have overhead of 392,760,384 naira. And the capital for also NIMSI is 46,533,428,179. Collectively, 52 million has been proposed for the National Identity Management Commission. Then the total amount in naira has been captured here, in which I think there is no need for repetition in order to save time. This is in summary for the ministry and the 3 parastatals under the supervision of the ministry. And there are annex attached to it that is going to Annex 7 on page 74. Will explain briefly what each line item is for as a proposal to the National Assembly for their consideration. Thank you very much, Chairman. I appreciate it.
Thank